We're still alive, Rick. So much has happened. So much that we shouldn't have lived through. And in spite of it, or maybe because of it, we did. We're still here. The two of us. We're still standing. And we're gonna keep standing. So what do we do with that?
What's going on, my Walking Dead peeps, fellow Richonners and shippers alike? It's your girl Lynn here with part 2 of the making of Richonne. Before we get started, do me a favor and smash those like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell so you will be alerted anytime I drop new content. Now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, let's jump into the subject of this video. We all know how their journey to Terminus went, and what followed with the loss of Bob and Beth, and the new additions of Abe, Rosita, Eugene, Gabriel, and Noah. The hopes of a safe haven in DC dashed after a lie exposed.
I'm not a scientist! I'm not a scientist! I lied. I'm not a scientist.
The group were reunited once again and headed to Noah's home to find it had also fallen. Rick's demeanor has changed, and not for the better as far as Michonne was concerned. He had shot down the idea of going to DC previously, but it is Michonne who pleads with him.
Washington. Eugene lied about a cure. But he thought of Washington for a reason.
But he was lying.
About the cure. But he did the math and realized that Washington was the place where there'd be a chance. We're close. It's a possibility. It's a chance. Instead of just being out here. Instead of just making it. Because right now, this is what making it looks like. Don't you want one more day with a chance?
It's 100 miles away. We should go to Washington.
By now, it is evident that the only person who can reason with him and detour him from what was becoming a destructive path is Michonne. It wasn't just due to his growing affection for her, but because she knew how to approach him. Her words were never laced with accusation or doubt, but with truth and understanding. I mean, Rick can't help but soften his stance at this moment, the look of desperation in her eyes clearly touching his heart. She was right. They had to stop being out there on the road. After yet another loss, the group set off first by van and then by foot to DC. The decision to heed Michonne's suggestion would bring an opportunity that seemed too good to be true to Rick.
Hi. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. Good morning. My name is Aaron. I'd like to talk to the person in charge. Rick, right?
How do you know? Why?
I have good news.
This is Aaron.
It's a community. I think you all would make valuable additions. But it's not my call. Like I said, security is obviously important. In fact, there's only one resource more critical to our community's survival. The people.
Rick gives Michonne a look, and for the first time since they met, they were on two completely different wavelengths. Without provocation, Rick strikes Aaron and is quickly confronted by Michonne.
So we're clear. That look wasn't a let's attack that man look. It was a he seems like an okay guy to me look.
We gotta secure him. Dump his pack. Let's see what this guy really is.
Still being on edge from what happened with the claimers in Terminus, Rick is no longer in the business of giving strangers chances. We see Rick and Michonne have their first disagreement.
I'll check out the cars.
There aren't any cars.
There's only one way to find out.
We don't need to find out.
We do. You know what you know. And you're sure of it. But I'm not.
Your way's dangerous. Mine isn't.
Passing up someplace where we can live? Where Judith can live? That's pretty dangerous.
Once again, she had made him take notice, and he agrees to send a small group to verify Aaron's story. And once it is confirmed, they all head to a place known as Alexandria. As they travel to Alexandria, Rick and Michonne have a conversation on the road, wherein she explained to him that she saw the fight in him, which in itself wasn't wrong, but the problem was how he was channeling it. She had been down that road, and she knew where it led. It's obvious that Rick is hearing her counsel, and he wants to take it, if only for Michonne's sake. The war within was coursing through his being, and unlike the conversations that he had had with Lori, Rick seemed at ease. There was no need to defend himself or his recent actions to Michonne. There was no need to clam up and keep his worries to himself. She had become his sounding board, a gentle ear in the chaos around him. From the moment they arrived at Alexandria, Rick was plotting with Carol and Daryl to take over.
We won't get weak. That's not in us anymore. We'll make it work. But if they can't make it, then we'll just take this place.
He saw the people there as weak and not worth saving. He would also set his sights on a resident, Jesse, whose husband was abusing her and their boys. I know some believe that his feelings for Jesse were genuine, but it was obvious from the beginning that he was looking for a reason to expel his rage onto a new enemy, and also back away from the growing feelings he had for Michonne.
I was in love with my son's best friend. I didn't know what to do.
Rick quickly becomes a pariah in the community, especially after he and Michonne are named constables by Deanna, Alexandria's leader. His fixation on Jessie leads to a fight with her husband Pete in the middle of town.
You still don't get it. None of you do. You just sit and plan and hesitate. You pretend like you know when you don't. If you don't fight, you die. I'm not gonna stand by.
Michonne is forced to subdue him, and he's held in the basement of a home. When he awakens, he finds an irritated Michonne and tells her that it's like he's still back in the train car at Terminus.
Rick? What are you doing?
I couldn't tell you about the gun.
No, you couldn't.
Oh, you wanted this place.
We had to stop being out there.
Well, we're here.
You just said you weren't.
As if saved by the metaphorical bell, Carol, Abe, and Glenn arrive, and there's a discussion about taking control of Alexandria and threatening the residents at knife point until they gave up the armory. Although it seems like Rick is disregarding Michonne's feelings about the situation, that's not what's happening here. She wanted this place for them permanently, and in his mind, the only way to make that happen was to take over, to put the Alexandrians on notice. They had already lost Noah, and he wasn't losing anyone else. Although he would later confess to Michonne the reason why he didn't tell her of his plan. He knew she would shake him from his resolution. She had become his anchor and his conscience, a conscience that he didn't want to diverge him from his current path.
I was afraid you'd talk me out of it. You could have.
We don't need them here. I don't need my sword. I think you can find a way. We can find a way. And if we don't, I'm still with you.
Michonne's delicate balance between unwavering loyalty to Rick and her ability to call him on his bullshit without attacking his self-worth is a tightrope that she had mastered very quickly. Later, Rick is given a hearing, and after killing a walker that had breached the gates, he tells the residents that he and his people can and will teach them to survive. His speech is interrupted by Pete, who is wielding Michonne's sword and moves to kill Rick, but inadvertently kills Deanna's husband.
Rick. Do it.
In the days and weeks that follow, we see Rick and the others devise a plan to lead a massive horde of walkers away from the area. There are still a great deal of people in town who don't trust him, and the feeling is mutual.
See, I would have set up some lookouts. That would have been the smart thing. You know, if I happened to... You really think you're gonna take this community from us? From Glenn, from Michonne, from Daryl, from me? Do you have any idea who you're talking to?
After a horn sounds off from the direction of Alexandria, the group is forced to separate, and Michonne and a few others are pinned down inside of a long-abandoned pet shop. Heath confronts Michonne regarding her group's motives and tells her that he knows that Rick doesn't care about the people in Alexandria.
Look, I heard what Rick said.
Which part?
How they wouldn't all make it.
Rick said what he said. Because sometimes you don't have a choice.
That is not how we do it.
Because you've never had to do it any other way. You haven't been through it. Not really.
Michonne.
Not like Rick. Rick was out there. I was out there.
She was right. Heath hadn't experienced what Rick had. They had all lost someone, but Rick had not only endured loss, but betrayal and doubt from those closest to him. And on top of all of this, he had to lead, which I think is a call back to what Rick had told Guillermo, the leader of the Vatos.
The people here, they all look to me now. I don't even know why.
Because they can.
This quality was something that everyone saw in him, and some took for granted. As much time as the others spent tearing Rick down, Michonne spent just as much time, if not more, building him up.
The deal the governor offered about me, you had to think about it. You had to. I get it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I came real close.
But you didn't.
At this early point in their story, she had every right to be angry or wary of Rick. But she understood his position, like others in their group hadn't, and solidified him in it. The group eventually makes it back home, and the threat of the wolves have been put down. Rick and Michonne have another conversation regarding the town and how to best protect it. He is adamant about only using their people to secure Alexandria, and Michonne pushes back.
We haven't had a chance to catch our breath.
Really? We're in here together. We're catching our breath right now. Anything else is just excuses.
She could see that the fight was still in Rick and was trying to help him let it go. She understood why he was fighting against the great opportunity they had been given. Every time they found what they thought would be a safe haven to build a future, it was ripped away from them. But now they were in Alexandria because of her instinct that this was the place. This was there forever. And she wanted him to see that too. As it turned out, they would once again be faced with the possible destruction of their home when the gates are breached by a fallen tower and walkers who had strayed from the massive herd. In the chaos around them, Deanna is bit, and while Rick speaks to Jesse about his plans to lead the walkers out of Alexandria, Michonne tries to comfort Deanna in what would be her final moments. The older woman seems resolute with her fate and says that she got to do what she wanted in her life, and asks Michonne what she wants for the future.
I'm lucky, Michonne. Working with my family towards a better future is all I ever wanted. That's what I got. I got to do what I wanted right up to the end. What do you want?
I want this place to work.
Yes, but what does that mean for you? What do you want for you?
I don't know.
You better.
Maybe this was true. Maybe just like Rick, she didn't want to acknowledge what she wanted more than anything, in fear of the worst happening. I believe it's later that her true desire is fully realized, As Rick led their group through the herd so that they could get to vehicles and lead the herd away, Sam, Jesse's youngest son, starts to panic and becomes frozen in place after he sees a child walker. Seeing what was left of his family dead, Ron raises a gun to shoot Rick, blaming him for the deaths of his family, but he is quickly put down by Michonne, only not before he has a chance to get a shot off. Michonne slashed and carved her way through the walkers as Rick ran behind her carrying Carl. Once inside, we see some special things that take place between Richonne. As Rick stands disillusioned by what's happened, Michonne takes the time to remove his walker garb from him. It seems insignificant, but this is the type of care that she has always shown towards him and his children. Next, we see a look that comes over Rick's face as he takes his axe and moves towards the door with Michonne calling after him. He was being who he was, that person who in the face of disaster still managed to do what needed to be done. He had to get the walkers out of town so no more innocents would die.
Rick's out there, hold on. He needs my help. One more suture, but he's out there. This is his son. Give me a second.
He's taking them all on. We have to go get him.
What? We have to. This is it.
Okay, got it.
I believe this was the moment where the truth of their relationship was vocalized. He needed her. They needed each other. They were two pieces of a whole, two sides of the same coin, strong apart but stronger together. In the 10th episode of season 6, called The Next World, we get a glimpse of the domestic life in the Grimes household.
Do you have any toothpaste left?
No. Because someone's been borrowing it every day for 2 weeks.
Carl!
Never has a low five carried so much meaning. She calls after him the kind of toothpaste she likes, and this will cement itself in every Richonne shipper's mind for years to come. We all know that as luck would have it, he and Daryl would find a gold mine of supplies following Eugene's map to the sorghum, a grain supply building. The look on Rick's face when he finds a crate full of toothpaste is priceless. That's the only thing that he had the presence of mind to look for, no doubt imagining Michonne's smile when he came back with it. But we all know what happened. A chance meeting with Paul Rovia, known as Jesus, and a fight that left Rick and Daryl to watch as the van full of supplies sank to the bottom of a lake. While this is happening, Michonne has followed Spencer out into the woods and insists on helping him find his mother, who is now a walker, and lay her to rest. As they travel, she tells Spencer about her last conversation with Deanna.
Your mom told me I had to figure out what I want for my whole life.
Have you?
I'm working up to it.
So by this time, Michonne knew that Rick, Carl, and Judith were her future, and she just needed the right moment to act on it. Later, after talking to Carl about seeing him in the woods and how he had led Deanna to Spencer so he could put his mother down, she questions him as to why he would risk his safety, and he tells her that she, Michonne, was his family, and he would do it for her. To have Carl, her best friend, express such a sentiment, I believe this was the final push she needed.
What's your wound? You tell me, or I will kill you.
Hey, you alive in there?
I've always been of the belief that we don't meet people by accident. Paths are meant to be crossed for a reason.
Oh, not done! Come on, come on!
Rick, thanks. Glenn, you're welcome.
For Richonne, it started with Andrea, a friend Rick thought he lost, but their paths were meant to diverge on Herschel's farm. Michonne, who had been on her own, could have easily turned and walked the other way when Andrea was in danger, but she gave a helping hand to a stranger. Even the governor played a part in Michonne stumbling upon the abduction of Glenn and Maggie. and ultimately making her way towards the prison. So many paths crossed, from Morgan to Carl's question to his father.
Should we over?
All of these events had led them to this moment. A late night talk between friends. A consolation gift of men's. A playful yet intimate pat of a hand. The meaningful interlacing of fingers. That look, we all know that look very well. From the moment that they met, their eyes had always told their story, always portrayed their loyalty and love for one another. Even in the most tense of moments, the love was still there, just beneath the surface, begging to be released. This moment was much more than a coupling. It was a promise of forever, a promise to never let go no matter what.
I found him.
It wasn't just that they had found love with one another, but they had found what was missing in their lives from before. In Michonne, Rick had found a woman who saw him, really saw him, through his struggle, through the pain, through the horrors that the new world had forced him to commit. Her loving gaze never faltered, never sneered or cast him down. She embraced every part of him without hesitation. Michonne saw in Rick that protector that she had longed for, a man that she could stand beside as the world around them erupted into mayhem. In him, she found her sounding board, someone she could let her guard down with. Knowing that her safety, their children's safety, was the most important thing to him. The fight wasn't his alone anymore, it was theirs. This love was theirs, and no amount of war, grief, or separation would steal it from them. They would always be connected, they would always find each other. True love doesn't have a happy ending, because true love doesn't end.